Hello, this is Professor BRB, and today we will learn to use the animation capabilities in Adobe InDesign CS 5.5 or later to create this simple animation. So let's get started. So let's take a look at this document I've created. I have this first layer that just has this type in it. I have this last layer, which has some type I'll bring in at the very end. And then I have a template layer. So first thing I'm going to do is, with my selection tool, select this type frame here. And note that the little selection button shows up in my Layers panel. I am going to grab that, hold down my Option, or on a PC my Alt key, and drag this down into the template layer. So now I have two identical copies of Futura on two different layers. And what I'm going to do on the template layer here is select it. Notice I've turned off my Futura layer and I just have my template layer selected. And change the fill of the type. So I have to select that with the type tool here. Change the fill of the type up here to cyan. And I'm going to cut that tint down. So it's just going to be very faint. I'm going to leave this here and lock that layer just to act as a guide for me. I'll be deleting this when the project is finished. So now turn back on my other copy of Futura. And what I want to do is take this out of being editable type and turn it into just a series of polygons, because that's going to make it much easier to animate without having to be worried about type frames. So select it with my selection tool, and under type I just choose create outlines. And if you have experience with Adobe Illustrator, you will possibly be familiar with this from Illustrator. So now if I go to my direct selection tool, I can see that this is no longer editable type. It is like an Adobe Illustrator drawing with just control points and paths. But I'm going to run into a little problem here because I want to deal with these letters individually, and InDesign will not let me ungroup them because they were in one text frame. And this is kind of frustrating because you can do this in Illustrator, but for some reason InDesign doesn't let you do it. So we're going to make a little workaround here by taking our direct selection tool, our white arrow, clicking off to deselect, and we're going to cut each of these letters and repaste them back into place to get them out of that group. So it's kind of a pain, but we're going to go Edit, Cut, and then Edit, Paste in Place. And now you can see that I can move this letter around on its own and not move them all, which I want to be able to deal with these letters individually. So as I said, use your direct selection tool and just edit, cut, and edit, paste in place. And you're just going to have to do that with all of them. It's kind of irritating, but whoops-a-daisy. I didn't quite get all my points there, did I? Edit. That's what comes of talking while you're working. And paste in place. So I just went off camera and completed cutting and pasting each letter so that now you see I can move these letters and this exclamation point separately. And while I'm at it, I want to make that exclamation point red. So let's do our first animation, which is causing this F to fly in from the left. So I select that one letter and I choose my animation panel, and I'd also like to have my timing panel out for reference purposes. And to create, notice it creates a default name here, polygon. I would actually like to create a name for this, so I'm going to call it F. And you'll see in a minute the reason that I want to do that. Preset, where it says choose, I'm just going to choose fly in from left. And I get a little thumbnail up here of the butterfly telling me that it's going to fly in from left. Go down here to properties. I only want it to go once. I don't want it to loop. The event, I want to leave that and on page load. And for the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to leave all of our animations on page load. But be aware that you could choose these different options if you wanted to. Animate to current location, that's very good. And I don't want any rotation, and I'll choose fade in here. And it's going to be off camera, so to speak, or off the page, so I don't really have to do hide till animated. And let's do a preview and see what that's going to look like. So I'm going to go preview spread here. And if we open this back up, right down here I can replay. Notice when the page loads, it just comes in. So that's brilliant. We have created our first animation. And note these little bubbles down here indicate to me that it is an animation. If I want to, I can still edit it. And if I want to make it just a normal object and not an animation, I just click this little trash button while it's selected and it'll turn it back into an ordinary object. Next, we want to have our U appear and rotate into place. So I'm going to set my reference point. So I select this first and set my reference point at the bottom here and hover outside, hold down my shift key till it rotates 90 degrees clockwise. Leave it selected. We're going to call it U. And the preset we'll choose is rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise from current appearance. That's perfect. We don't want any scale. I could have it fade in there. And I want to check hide till animated. So let's see how that looks. Yeah, it looks great. Okay, let's keep going and do our T. And we want that to grow. Next, we'll do the T, and we want it to grow. So with my selection tool, I select the T, scale tool, Option or Alt key, click at the bottom, and I'm going to scale it 50%. Okay. Leaving that selected, I'm going to make the name of this T, preset, grow. Notice my default is 200%, which is perfect, and I have to set this little reference point here to the bottom because I want it to grow up. Opacity, I think we'll leave it at none, but I want to click hide till animated. Let's see what that looks like. Let's pull this back up here. Let's play that again. Perfect, that's just what I wanted. On to the next U. Next we want to make this U spin. Select, we're going to call it second U, preset, spin, speed from preset, and animate from current appearance, that's fine, and hide till animated. Excellent. Let's check it out. Very good. Next, the R. Next, our R will be made to fly in from the top. So select it, name R, preset, fly in from top, to current location, hide till animated. Test. Great. And on to the A. And the A is kind of a fun one. Okay, so let's move this so we can see the A. Select our A, name it A, and our preset, we're going to choose bounce, bounce right large. To current appearance, hide until animated. Test. Well, that's kind of fun. And last but not least, our exclamation point. Just put this away for a moment. Exclamation point. Just going to call it exclamation point. Preset is bounce and smush. That's a fun one. And once again, we want it to bounce to current appearance and hide till animated. That's fun. But as I look at it, I think that A is a little bit too slow. So I'm going to go back and select my A here. And instead of duration 3.125, I'm going to change it to 2.5. I'm going to see if I like that a little bit better. That's a little faster. I think that's a little bit better. So all I need to do now is animate this final layer, which is down here. And that's pretty easy to do if I go back over to my layers panel. And I turned that on at some point. I don't quite remember when, but all I have to do is select those lines of type. Make sure that they are grouped. They are grouped, so that's good. If they aren't grouped, group them. I'm going to name it bold, and I'm going to choose for my preset fly in from bottom. And I want it to go to current location, speed from preset, and hide until animated. Test this, and we should be finished. Of course, you can animate anything that you can put on an InDesign page, and it could be an illustration, it could be an image frame, a picture frame, whatever you want. So really your creativity is the only limit here. I just want to make one other point, which is about the timing panel, is that you can use this panel to reshuffle the order in which your animations occur. So if I wanted to scramble these animations, as I just did in the timing panel, all I have to do is drag them around, and now they are going to occur in a completely different order. So that's kind of interesting that you can do that. Also, I did kind of intend to turn my template layer off so that this would just appear on a blank page. So this is my scrambled animation. And you can have fun customizing your animations. The only caveat is these are flash-based animations, which means that they will not work on many tablet devices. They are for a computer screen mostly, and I sincerely hope that Adobe is working a way to correct this and will eventually change this under the hood so that these animations come in HTML or JavaScript. So we're all waiting on that one. If you get to talk to Adobe, please suggest it. So have a bit of fun with this, and I will explore some more aspects of the animation features of InDesign in future lessons.